Ah bonjour! It is me, Claude Debussy, the French composer, and my cat, who does not talk much. Ah bonjour, Fisred et bonsoir. Mes amis, I can tell from looking at my YouTube channel that not all of you watched last week's video. So I put on a mustache to see if you'd watch this one. And here you are. The mustache worked. So I am Claude Debussy. I lived at the same time as last week's composer, Sergei Prokofiev. But I am French, and he was Russian. And I told you that I would tell you the story. I mean, your teacher, whoever she is, told you that she would tell you the story of Sergeant Lieutenant Kije. And I asked you to write your story first, and some of you did, and for that I thank you very much. But I did ask you to use timestamps, and most of you did not, although one person so far has, whose initials start with CC. Thanks, man. The timestamps are supposed to help me know when what you think happens in the story happens. So like I gave you an example where I used the timestamps so that you would know at like 45 seconds in, that's when the snare drum is the sound of the snow warming and falling off the branches and hitting the ground, or at a minute 30 seconds in, that the flute and the piccolo sound is the sound of the birds playing in the snow. So if you include those timestamps, Claude Debussy does not know how to tie a tie. If you include those timestamps, it's easier for me to understand where your story is. I'll still tell you the story of Lieutenant Kije, but I would like you to see if you can rework that, fix that story if you didn't use those timestamps, and then send it back to me again on my email. If you need to look at my example, go for it. I know that my video cut out before I was done reading my example, but you can still read the whole thing below the video. Well, it'll be above this video. So the story of Lieutenant Kije, it's a movie that he was writing for, and in the movie, the Tsar is like the king of Russia. He's like the king and the military leader, and the president, the prime minister, like everything all in one. So czars are very powerful in Russia, or they were back then. They don't have a czar anymore, debatable. But the czar had asked this one secretary to make a list of soldiers in a certain group of the army or something. And he accidentally added a name of somebody who doesn't exist, Lieutenant Kije, fake name. And he realized his mistake, but by the time he had, this mustache itches, by the way. By the time he realized his mistake, it was too late, and the czar was already on his way to get the list. So he just left the fake name on there. And of course, the czar said, "Oh, Kije, what a strange name. Tell me more about this Kije. I think I like this guy." So the secretary had to make up a story about Kije, and that is the first movement, which is what we wrote a story to. The first movement is from 0 minutes to 3 minutes and 40 seconds. And that's called The Birth of Kije. That's the scene in the movie where the secretary accidentally makes up a guy named Kije and has to lie to the czar so that he doesn't get in trouble. And then as time goes on, he has to keep lying, because in the second movement, the czar wants to know more about Kije, and Kije kind of turns into something like called a scapegoat, where when anything goes wrong, and the czar demands to know whose fault was this, they say, "Oh, that was Lieutenant Kije." So they make up a story about Lieutenant Kije. Oh, he's probably not focusing on his work because he's fallen in love, and that's the romance of Kije, where Prokofiev uses kind of a folktale, like basic type romance song, but he makes it kind of silly by having the main melody played by a double bass, which is not usually the instrument that would play a romantic song like that. And I'm using the term romantic as not like the era of like romance, not like the time period, but like romantic, like ooh la la, they fell in love. Romantic is what I mean when I say that word. Um, Even though Prokofiev was a romantic era composer, um, but they keep lying. They keep lying about Lieutenant Kije, and then uh, the the czar, he gets mad. He sends Kije to the front of the war, the most dangerous place where he's most likely to be killed. But then he feels bad, and so he orders that Kije be brought back. And then Kije, they want him. He wants him to get married. So the czar says, "Oh, I'd like to attend the wedding." And they're all worried because they're like, oh my goodness, there is no Lieutenant Kije. How can the czar attend his wedding? So they have to make up a fake wedding for Kije. And eventually, and this is like the second to last movement, and eventually we come to the last movement of the music where the staff in the czar's office kind of decide, you know what? I don't think it's worth it to keep up this Kije lie anymore. I think we've got to kill him, which sounds bad, but he's not real. So they invent the sad death of Kije, and that's the last movement is the death of Kije, the man who never existed. And that's why the finale sounds sort of sad, but also sort of like a joke, because Kije was never a real person, but they had to pretend he was so they didn't make the czar angry. So it's kind of a funny story. And it was an old film. I actually found it on YouTube. I can post it. It's kind of long, and it's not the type of movie you're used to watching because the technology wasn't very good. There's no CGI. It's just a very, very poor quality. Well, it was not poor quality back then, but you'd be kind of maybe shocked to see it now. So I'll post it for you to watch it if you want to, but don't feel like you have to, because I don't think you'll make it all the way through. I think you'll get bored. I didn't make it all the way through. I watched part of it and then I was like, oh, okay, I have something else to do now. Anyway, on to our next composer, which is me. C'est moi, Claude Debussy. And we talked about my contemporary, somebody who lived and worked at the same time. So Prokofiev was a Russian Romantic era composer. I, Claude Debussy, am a French Romantic era composer. And I wrote in the Impressionistic style. If you study art, you might know Impressionism from the art world, where people did different kinds of, they used different techniques to get the point across. The point, sometimes literally, they would use like little dots called pointillism to make a picture, or like maybe broader strokes. You might think of Claude Monet, who is an Impressionist artist, and Claude Debussy decided, you know what, maybe I could take some of those principles from the fine arts world and the physical arts world and apply them to my music and see what happens. So he did a lot of new things with harmony that people hadn't done before. His most famous probably is his Au clair de la lune, but we are going to look at his children's corner, which he wrote to amuse his young daughter, Emma Claude, who is affectionately known as Chouchou, which means kind of like little darling in French. It is a 6-movement long piece, and it has a lot of English names in it because it was because Emma Claude, or Chouchou, was taken care of by an English nanny, and Claude Debussy thought it would be good to include some English in the stuff that he wanted the nanny to share with his daughter. So there you can see the Eiffel Tower better if I move to the side. This is the Eiffel Tower in 1900, by the way, during my lifetime, since I was born August 22nd, 18. Stay with me. 1862, and I died March 25th, 1819. Yeah, I look pretty good. Yeah. Okay, so 6 movements. The first movement is about the importance of practicing the piano. You can hear some of the piano exercises in it. You're going to listen to the whole thing on your own. I'll post it below this video, along with maybe some things about Sergei Prokofiev. And you guys are revising those stories. Here is the first movement about the importance of practicing the piano, which is my instrument, my main instrument, me, Claude Debussy. Hear those piano exercises? Very important. The next movement is called Jimbo's Lullaby. It is feature. Oh, I should have said, since I am Claude Debussy, that these is most of these movements feature my daughter Shushu's favorite toys. So this movement, the second movement, is about the lullaby for her favorite elephant toy, who I thought was named Jimbo, but it was actually named Jumbo. You know, sometimes us dads, we don't know the name of the toy. We weren't paying close attention. So Jimbo's Lullaby. Jumbo. Hear those really low notes in the piano? Maybe makes you think of a swinging trunk. You'll listen to this on your own. I'm sure you will. The next one is Serenade for one of... Oh, got an ad, guys. Don't worry about it. Oh, good. Candy Crush ads. Good. That totally existed in my time period. That's real life. Here is Serenade for Shushu's favorite doll. And I want you to think about that and say, if I were to write a serenade for a doll, what would it sound like? Next one's called The Snow is Dancing. The next one is called The Little Shepherd. And The Little Shepherd starts at 11 minutes, 22 seconds in, at least on the video. I'll give you the timestamps below the video so that you know which movement you're listening to. The Little Shepherd features a flute, which is typical of shepherds during that time period because flutes were easily portable instruments that they could take with them. Okay, maybe it's not going to let me play this. No, it's not. Great. See, I'm Claude Debussy, and I was born in the 1800s, and I don't understand this newfangled technology. It's very confusing to me. Don't know how to use a pixel. Hold, please. Anyway, let's skip ahead to one of my favorite parts of my work for my daughter, where I steal musically some of my favorite parts of my friend Wagner's opera Tristan and Isolde. I put it into this movement, this final movement, and then you can almost hear the piano laughing at my friend Wagner. There's the stolen piece. Here comes the laugh. Ha 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 ha. I love stealing musical ideas from my friend Wagner. All right. While that's finishing up, here's what I'd like you to do this week. If you didn't use the timestamps on your symphony story or symphonic story of Lieutenant Kije, please revise that and use the timestamps. If you're not sure what I mean, send me a message on Teams, email me, we can video chat, and I can help you out with that. For this week, I want you to keep practicing the song for the folk song from New Zealand that I posted above, and see if you can do the hand motions at the same time as you sing it. If you have a ukulele at home, see if you can play it. If you don't, no worries. I can't actually sing and do the third one yet because I'm not very coordinated, but I can do the first one and the second one with the pat and the tapping and the clapping and all the snaps and all that. So see if you can work on that. And then also send me an email. We don't have to do 6 toys, but Claude Debussy, he did 6 toys. Send me an email with 3, because that's half of 6. Yeah, math. 3 toys that you either have now, had as a kid, maybe a younger sibling or a little cousin really likes these toys. A favorite toy, maybe not a favorite toy of you when you were a kid, but maybe a favorite toy of somebody else. And let me know which instruments and if there's any musical tricks you would use to describe these toys if you were going to write 3 more movements to Claude Debussy's Children's Corner. So off the top of my head, when my little brother was a kid, his very, very favorite toy was this fake Beanie Baby. It was very small. It was a frog, and he called it Pollywog the Frog. And if I were to write a movement of Children's Corner for Claude Debussy, I feel like because I spent so many hours looking for that frog when my brother would lose it, I would probably include the frog and one movement for the frog. And a musical trick maybe I would use for that is maybe I would use the slide whistle and see if I could make it sound like the frog was leaping, like a whoop, whoop, to see if I could make it sound like it was splashing from lily pad to lily pad. So that's all you have to do. Pick 3 favorite toys, either of you when you were younger or now, or a younger sibling or a younger cousin, or even ask your parents, did you have a favorite toy when you were young? Can you describe it? Because I would like to pretend I'm about to write a musical movement about it. So tell me maybe what instrument you would use for that toy and how would you use that instrument to make it sound like it belongs with that toy. Kind of like Claude Debussy, Claude Debussy, je suis Claude Debussy, used the piano for all of those, but he used the when we did the Jimbo's Lullaby and the elephant, he used very low notes and kind of swinging back and forth with those low notes to make that sound like it was the elephant, or the elephant mother rocking Jumbo the elephant to sleep. So try that. Revise if you did not use the timestamps. If you don't understand how to use the timestamps, let me know and I'll help you out. And I will see you next time. Claude Debussy. I'm just kidding. Next time I'm not going to wear a mustache. It's very itchy. I miss you guys. Bye.